Welcome to Comics with Jose. My name is Jose. I love comics and I want to share them with you. Follow me on Twitter at Art of J Velez or on Instagram at jvelez622. I share some doodles and drawings as well as a comic book that I'm working on free of charge. Like, follow, and subscribe if you enjoy this. We'll go over comic books that I have and enjoy. However, I do use the digital version for the purposes of this. We kind of review the artwork and the story of comic books that I think are pretty cool and I think people should read and get. Hope you enjoy it. Hello and welcome to Comics with Jose. My name is Jose. I love comics and I want to share them with you. Thank you so much for continuing on this journey as I ramble on about my favorite subject, comic books. We're going to be looking at JLA and the Avengers, a 4-issue limited series by George Perez. Kurt Busiek did write it, but I can guarantee you I probably haven't read this since it first came out, and I just didn't feel like rereading it. Mostly, this is George Perez's birthday week. This is the second time I've recorded this because the first time audio did not come out, so it took me a little bit to re-record it. So I'm here just to show you how fantastic George Perez's art is. George Perez was such an influential creator, and we'll get started here. Kind of going. Number one, the detail that he puts in is amazing. You can see why Todd McFarlane and Jim Lee were influenced by him. So this came out in 2003. So it's the roster that was around that time. Captain America, the Atom, Wonder Woman, the Wasp, Batman, Iron Man, Thor, Superman, the Scarlet Witch, a Green Lantern. Oh, Hank Pym was the Yellow Jacket. Vision, Hawkeye, Martian Manhunter, She-Hulk, Plastic Man, Miss Marvel, who is now Captain Marvel, Jack of Hearts, Aquaman, Quicksilver, The Flash, and Triathlon, I believe is his name. So that is the cover. And then Terex, I believe, and then of course Starro. So we'll start here. So I have all 4 issues. I bought them when they first came out. Very excited because when you look at this, it's George Perez's art. This is the main reason for getting this. When he was sick, he died last year of cancer. They released a special edition hardcover for him. And this is probably the work that most fans really like because it was such a deal to try and get both of these heroes. Look at the detail. Man, oh man. George Perez is not your average ink slinger. He is carefully, look at this, puts in all the rubble. Just so detailed. Definitely can see why Todd McFarlane was so heavily influenced on him. Like I mentioned before, I read this when it first came out. That's been about it. I don't think I've read it since. I used to just look at it to get inspired by looking at his incredible art here. So, like I said, I won't be telling you what's going on in the story because I really do not remember. It's a story basically to just get you to, because you have to create, comic books you read and you look at the pictures, but the main part of the story is just to give George Perez really cool things to draw, and I think that's what it accomplished. So I think the Flash, they're going into each other's universe is essentially what's happening. So, um, man, oh man, just such beautiful art. He just draws so detailed and so clean. Um, he doesn't over render. He does put in a lot of detail though, but his rendering he doesn't really. Oh, look at this beautiful double page spread, just gorgeous. George Perez is most famously known for his run in Teen Titans. He had a um, they co-created with Marv Wolfman, and at the time Teen Titans was probably DC's best-selling book, and it went par to par with the X-Men. The X-Men and Teen Titans were the two biggest titles, so he's very well known for that. And then he had a long run in Wonder Woman. Now, part of the thing about Wonder Woman is he did not draw the entire run. He, I think, drew most of the first 25 issues, but then after that, he was just essentially the writer and the cover artist. So he had a his second run in the Avengers is the one I'm most familiar with. I did not have him, when I was collecting comic books. His first run in the Avengers had already passed me by. Here's another beautiful image. Look at this detail. My goodness gracious. Um, so his first run in the Avengers had already kind of passed me by. Um, and Teen Titans did not really call on me. What a great shot here of Superman getting hit by Mjolnir. Absolutely great. And so the Teen Titan run I've picked up afterwards. So that was the end of issue 1. Here's issue 2. Great cover. Look at this. Great cover. This is why you buy this series when it came out. It's for that, for those things. So, like I said, everything else is just secondary. The story is just average. Um, it's really just an excuse to get these characters to fight each other. Just he's George Perez was one of a kind for certain. Um, Big influence on some of my most favorite artists like Jim Lee and Todd McFarlane. When I talk about Jack Kirby, for example, and say, Jack Kirby's work just doesn't speak to me. You look at artists like George Perez, and then you look at Jack Kirby, and you can respect what Jack Kirby does, but man, uh, it just doesn't compare. You look at any Jack Kirby comic book, it just doesn't look like this. And that is just part of the greatness of George Perez. Um, it's just beautiful work. So George Perez also did, I believe, the first 3 issues of the Infinity Gauntlet, and he did Future Imperfect with Peter David. I have all of those issues. Another beautiful double page spread here. And then, of course, he had a second run in the Avengers, which I um, enjoyed. And to me, that's the run of George Perez that I gravitate to. And that was with Kurt Busiek also. And then he had a brief run in the Fantastic Four, I believe, prior to going to DC and doing the New Teen Titans. So there's lots of books out there on the art of George Perez. May he rest in peace. Um, George Perez, anytime you can get your hands on anything that he drew, I'm not a purist, meaning I don't you don't need to get the issues, get the trades. I have a lot of comic books on trades because I couldn't afford it. I'm not in it for the CGC. I'm in here for the love of reading the comic books. I don't not here to tell you buy this because it's going to be worth X amount of dollars. Buy something because you want to read it. I just can't stress enough how people um just want to collect, they run a business, then, buy a comic book store or whatever. But comic books are a great medium, and I just wish more people actually read comic books instead of just putting them in a slab. Most of my comic books, I keep them as nice as I can, but you know, I I will read them, but a lot of them I have on trade. This I have, like I said, I have the trade of this, or the hardcover actually, of this. This would be Captain Marvel now, but Miss Marvel at that time. So I have trades, like I said, of this or the hardcover, and then I do also have it in the original issues. Look at this, just great composition. George Perez was admired by everyone. I don't think that people can um, go wrong. Look at this cover. Look at this. I think he's got everybody in here. He's got every Avenger, every JLA. But this is basically everyone from Marvel and DC at that time. It looks like in here. Look at that. I mean, just even a small, just wow. So we're kind of wrapping up the series here. Um, so it's okay. So we're halfway through. I thought we were in book three already. So, or the previous one. So it's just hard to not look at this and just be so amazed at how beautiful this art is, and seeing his detail and his um, composition. I mean, he's including here now versions of the Avengers. So, I mean, he's not just drawing the JLA and the Avengers; he's drawing their former versions. I mean, Kurt Busiek, to his credit, like I said, I haven't really read this in forever, but the whole goal of this was to great shot, or great drawing. I believe this is a remake of previous one that he had drawn way back in, I think, '83. There was They were going to release this way back in the '80s, but there were problems. And if you get the, you can read about it on the internet, but if you get the trade or the hardcover, it tells you kind of what happened, why it didn't develop. So let's just say two big companies with two big egos. So say whatever you want. I mean, they own the characters, so we feel we care, but it's their stuff, so they can do whatever they want. You can choose to buy it or not. You can always choose not to buy it. If you don't like what's happening in Spider-Man, don't buy it. If you don't like what's happening on Superman, don't buy it. It doesn't take away from the enjoyment of stories that you perhaps enjoyed when you were younger. So always beautiful spread. All these spreads are just gorgeous. So um, you know, enjoy what you enjoy. So, and don't buy what you don't like. So if you don't like someone's art style, don't buy it. You can tell this is early computer. Uh, maybe just you can tell here early computer um, drawings. So, And that's how I approach, if I like I for example love the Miles Morales Spider-Man. I really truly truly do. So I get Miles Morales, but if you don't like it, don't get it. I liked Jason Aaron's run on Thor. I have it. So, you know, buy what you like. Let me just go back to this real quick. This wonderful shot. So, art is subjective. If you love Jack Kirby, hey, buy him some more. There's trades out there. Um, Man, there's something about these double page spreads of his. So, buy what speaks to you. Uh, there's so much different art, there's so much different writing. There's right wing, there's left wing, there's in between, there's just there's something for everyone. There's clean looking, and this is what I mean by clean. Mike Allred also, I define as clean. So this is part four. Look at this image here of Superman holding Mjolnir and Captain America's shield. So we are in the end here. Like I said, we're just here looking at George Perez's beautiful artwork. Happy birthday and rest in peace to one of the absolute greatest comic book drawers of all time. He inspired, so many people. Just that clean looking art of his. The superhero comic art language, it's into itself, but it's been conceived by a lot of different artists, from Jack Kirby, Steve Ditko, John Byrne, all these people. But George Perez just really took this um, this medium and really he gave you Neil Adams and gave you just so many different styles that he just you can't help but love it. He engulfed. He has qualities that all these, like, if you like Kirby, you like Perez. If you like Neil Adams, you'll like Perez. If you like Joe Quesada, Perez, Magnola, Perez. Look at this great image. This guy is so good. He can draw circles around most people, even my idols. Everybody here that's heard this knows that I am a huge fan of Walter Simonson. I would have loved to have seen Simonson and Perez together. And I'm a huge mark for Todd McFarlane, and to a degree Jim Lee as well. Jim Lee is such a great drawer. And you can see Perez's influence on them, and I think that you can look at George Perez's work and say, my goodness, it's just um it calls on everyone. John Byrne, Jerry Ordway, all these different artists, they you can see Perez and you can see their influence. Look at this. I'm telling you, these double page spreads. Um, if speaking of a lot of characters, Crisis on Infinite Earth, another great one of George Perez. It's so he died last year, taken too soon, unfortunately. They look at this version of Superman. Goodness gracious. And this version of Thor, I think this wasn't Thor. I had bowed out of Thor shortly after Simonson left. I think I stuck around till 400, and then that was all she wrote for me on Thor, and I didn't go back to Thor till J. Michael Straczynski. So I was off Thor for most of the time. Um, and Straczynski's the one that got me back on Thor, and then I stayed through Matt Fraction, and then Jason Aaron did some absolutely great work on Thor. Strongly recommend that. And after I'm done with the Simonson Thor run, I'll probably start with the Straczynski, and then a little bit of Matt Fraction, and then go straight to Jason Aaron. Look at this. I just, I'm running out of adjectives on how to describe this beautiful art of Perez. Just great stuff. I hope you're looking at these and going, my goodness, I want to go get this. Please do. I strongly recommend you get this series. So there we go with the main story. So one last thing before we call it quits here is this is in the hardcover that was released a few years ago. And this includes a few of the layouts that he did for the original JLA Avengers that he wanted to bring out in the 80s. So I believe it was in 83. But politics between the two companies just did not allow it. This would have been pre-Crisis on Infinite Earth. And I believe, based on these, that Kang was going to be the main bad guy. So, man, rest in power, George Perez, and happy birthday. Wish this would have just come out on time, but had to re-record it. So, wonderful. That's all right. I don't mind because I got a chance to look at his beautiful art again. So, absolutely beautiful. Batman and Captain America. Imagine if Marvel and DC actually merged. So, this is the end. So, Avengers JLA 1 through 4, written by Kurt Busiek and drawn by George Perez. Like and subscribe, and thank you so much for listening. Goodbye.